You know what's funny about mirrors? They never lie. They don't care about your titles, your filters, your excuses. They reflect exactly who's standing in front of them. No more, no less. And if that reflection makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's not the mirror that needs changing. The mirror never lies. It's the one place where truth can't hide behind titles, filters, or false confidence. Every time you look at your reflection, the mirror gives you an unfiltered version of yourself, not the story you tell others, not the mask you wear to survive the day, but the real you. The reason that reflection sometimes feels uncomfortable isn't because of the glass. It's because of what we see staring back. We catch glimpses of the potential we've ignored, the promises we've broken, the strength we've buried under fear. The mirror doesn't expose our flaws to shame us. It reveals them so we can face them. We live in a world obsessed with appearances. Everyone is busy curating their image, perfecting their highlight reel, hiding their struggles. And in that chase for perfection, we lose sight of authenticity. We start measuring our worth by the number of people who applaud, instead of the person who stares back at us every morning. But here's the truth. If the reflection you see isn't aligned with the person you are inside, no amount of validation will fill that gap. The mirror is your reminder that self-respect can't be photoshopped. You either earn it or you don't. Facing your reflection is an act of courage. It's choosing to see what's real. The fear, the fatigue, the dreams you've buried because life got heavy. It's about asking yourself the hard questions. Am I proud of who I see? Am I living according to my values or someone else's expectations? The mirror challenges you to strip away the noise and stand face to face with the one person you can't escape. Yourself. That confrontation can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's also the birthplace of change. Growth never comes from denial. It begins with acknowledgement. When you start to see the mirror not as a critic, but as a coach, everything shifts. The reflection isn't judging you, it's inviting you to step into your power. The mirror says, "This is where you are today, now what are you going to do about it?" It's not about perfection, it's about honesty. Every scar, every wrinkle, every tired eye is proof that you've lived, fought, and survived. The mirror reflects your story, and every chapter, even the dark ones, matters. So the next time you look at yourself and feel that sting of discomfort, don't look away. Stay there. Hold your own gaze, because on the other side of that discomfort lies self-awareness, and with self-awareness comes growth. The mirror doesn't need to flatter you. It needs to remind you. Remind you that who you are is not defined by the reflection itself, but by how you choose to respond to it. You can hide from the truth, or you can use it as a map. The mirror never lies, but it does give you the chance to rewrite the story behind the eyes looking back. The only question is, are you brave enough to see what's real and do something about it? Too often, we live our lives waiting for permission to speak up, to chase a dream, to walk away from what no longer serves us. From a young age, we're conditioned to seek approval. We raise our hands to talk. We wait for grades to tell us if we're good enough. And we look for likes to confirm our worth. Somewhere along the way, we forget that the power to define ourselves was never meant to be handed over to anyone else. Waiting for validation becomes a silent cage, one we decorate with excuses like, "It's not the right time," or "I'm not ready yet." But the truth is, there will never be a perfect time, and no one is coming to grant you the permission slip for your own life. Living on permission is the art of playing small. It's the quiet agreement you make with fear that you'll stay within the lines if it means you won't disappoint anyone. You might tell yourself it's about being respectful, patient, or strategic, but deep down, it's often about doubt. You doubt whether you're enough. You doubt whether you deserve what you dream about. And because of that, you look outward for approval instead of inward for strength. But here's the truth: confidence doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself even when no one else does. Think about the people who inspire you most. They didn't wait for an invitation to live boldly. They acted before they were ready. They failed, they learned, they grew. Courage isn't about feeling fearless. It's about moving despite the fear. When you stop living on permission, you start operating from conviction. You stop asking, can I, and start declaring, I will. And that shift changes everything. The world is full of people who never started because they were waiting for the right circumstances, for someone to notice their potential, for a guarantee that it would work out. But here's the secret. No one ever feels completely ready. Every strong person you admire had to begin before they believed they could. They understood that progress isn't built on permission. It's built on action. The moment you stop asking for approval is the moment you reclaim control over your destiny. When you rely on permission, you give away your power. You let other people's opinions dictate your pace, your choices, and your dreams. But when you take that power back, when you decide that your own voice is enough, you become unstoppable. You stop trying to please, and you start trying to grow. You stop waiting for doors to open, and you start building your own. So the next time you find yourself hesitating, ask yourself, who am I waiting for? The truth is, no one's coming. The only one who can give you permission to rise, to change, to speak, to dream is you. And once you realize that, no one can ever take that power from you again. Power is not found in perfection. It's found in authenticity. We live in a time when perfection is sold as the ultimate goal. Perfect bodies, perfect careers, perfect lives captured through carefully curated images. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target that keeps you chasing and never arriving. When you strive to be perfect, you end up hiding the very things that make you powerful. Your scars, your struggles, your story. You start editing yourself for the comfort of others, believing that if you appear flawless, you'll be accepted. Yet, the most magnetic people in the world are not perfect. They are real. They carry their truth like armor, not shame. Behind the mirror, what makes you strong isn't what's polished, it's what's endured. Every failure, every heartbreak, every setback you survived has built the foundation of your strength. The moments that broke you open are the ones that taught you who you are. Perfection hides behind masks. Power stands exposed. Power says, this is me, imperfect, unfiltered, and still standing. When you allow yourself to show up as you are, something incredible happens. You stop performing and you start living. You stop chasing approval and you start embracing growth. Because growth doesn't happen in the flawless moments. It happens in the messy, uncertain, and uncomfortable ones. Your reflection doesn't need to look perfect to be powerful. It needs to be honest. When you look into the mirror and see the lines, the marks, the signs of life, don't see flaws, see evidence. Those signs mean you've shown up, fought hard, and kept going. The world doesn't need another perfect face. It needs more people who are unapologetically themselves. When you bring your full, authentic self into any space, you create a ripple effect. You give others permission to do the same. You show that strength isn't about being untouched. It's about being unbreakable. Perfection is rooted in fear. The fear of being judged, rejected, or not enough. But when you trade that fear for authenticity, you find freedom. You no longer measure your worth by how others see you. You measure it by how true you are to yourself. Real confidence doesn't come from fitting an image. It comes from owning your truth. You can't inspire anyone by pretending to be perfect. You inspire people by being human, by showing that it's possible to rise even when you're still healing, to lead even when you're still learning. So when you stand before your mirror, don't waste time wishing for flawless. Choose fearless. Choose real. Look at every scar and say, this is proof I made it through. Your reflection is not a reminder of what's wrong with you. It's a reflection of what's right. Your resilience, your courage, your will to keep showing up, that's where your true power lies. Not in the parts you hide, but in the parts you've survived. Behind that mirror is not perfection, it's power. And that power has always been yours. The world will always try to tell you who you are. From the moment you're born, you're surrounded by voices shaping your identity. Parents, teachers, society, media, friends. They tell you what success should look like, how you should behave, what's acceptable and what isn't. Over time, those voices become loud enough that you start mistaking them for your own. You begin to chase identities built on expectations instead of truth. But here's what most people never learn. No one gets to define you but you. The reflection you see in the mirror is not a product of other people's opinions. It's a reflection of the choices you make about who you want to be. When you let the world define you, you hand over your power. You allow external noise to dictate your internal voice. You start to live for applause instead of purpose, to please instead of pursue what fulfills you. You become a collection of other people's desires, losing your own in the process. The tragedy is not that people misjudge you. It's that you start believing them. You start shrinking yourself to fit into the version of you that makes others comfortable. But the truth is, you were never meant to fit into anyone's mold. You were meant to break it. Defining yourself is an act of rebellion in a world that profits from your confusion. It takes courage to stand up and say, this is who I am, especially when your truth doesn't match the expectations around you. But that's where strength begins. Identity is not something you inherit. It's something you build. It's a daily choice to show up as your authentic self. Even when it's unpopular or misunderstood, the mirror doesn't show who society wants you to be. It shows the person you choose to be when no one's watching. That's your true reflection. The one that belongs entirely to you. People will always label you based on what they see, what they've heard, or what makes sense to them. Let them. Labels are their limitation, not yours. You don't owe the world an explanation for your evolution. You have every right to grow, to change your mind, to redefine yourself as many times as you need. The version of you that exists today doesn't have to look like yesterday's. What matters is that every new version is closer to who you are at your core, not who you're expected to be. When you stop letting others define you, you start to walk lighter. You begin to move with clarity, not confusion. You no longer seek acceptance because you've already accepted yourself. And that self-acceptance becomes your shield against the world's noise. The opinions of others may still echo, but they no longer hold power. You know who you are, and that's enough. So, when you look in the mirror, see yourself, not the roles, not the labels, not the expectations. See the person who took their power back. Because the world doesn't define you. You do. And that is where freedom begins. The hardest battle you will ever fight is not against the world. It's against your own reflection. Facing yourself takes more courage than confronting any external enemy. It's easy to point fingers outward, to blame circumstances, people, or timing for where you are. But the truth is, the greatest transformation begins when you turn inward and meet yourself honestly. The mirror is not your opponent, it's your truth teller. It reflects the parts you celebrate and the parts you avoid, and until you're willing to face all of it. The light in the dark. You'll never truly be free. We spend so much of our lives running from ourselves. We distract, we perform, we build walls, hoping that if we stay busy enough, we won't have to face the parts that hurt. But ignoring your reflection doesn't erase it. It only gives your fear more power. The act of facing yourself, of really looking into your own eyes and saying, I know who I am, is one of the most liberating experiences you can have. It's not about perfection or pride. It's about truth. Because once you know your truth, the world can't manipulate you with lies. Freedom doesn't come from escape. It comes from acceptance. When you look in the mirror and confront your insecurities, your mistakes, your regrets, something powerful happens. You stop hiding. You stop pretending. You start owning your story. And in that ownership, You find strength. The same parts of you that once felt heavy begin to feel sacred because they carry the lessons that shaped you. Facing yourself isn't about judgment, it's about understanding. You begin to see that every scar has a reason, every failure has a lesson, and every flaw has a purpose. The moment you accept yourself fully, you take back control of your life. You no longer need validation because you've already validated yourself. You stop chasing approval and start walking in alignment with your truth. That's where real freedom lies, not in changing who you are to fit the world, but in standing as you are and realizing that it's enough. When you face yourself, you strip away illusion and meet the person beneath the noise, the one who's been waiting to be acknowledged. That person is not weak or broken. That person is resilient, capable, and worthy of peace. So stand before your mirror, not with judgment, but with courage. Look at the reflection staring back and say, I see you. I forgive you. I'm proud of you. Because behind that reflection is a fighter, a survivor, a soul that has endured and still stands tall. The more you face yourself, the less you fear the world. The opinions, the noise, the expectations, they fade because nothing they say can shake the peace you've built within. Facing yourself is the door. Freedom is what waits on the other side. And when you finally step through, you realize something extraordinary. The reflection you once feared was never your enemy. It was your freedom waiting to be found.